We now know why there are mass layoffs at Bungie and why the final shape is allegedly being delayed until June. An article from Bloomberg has just come out which says that sales at the studio were running 45% below projections for the year, so therefore they had to cut 8% of their workforce. And the last bit here, which is very spicy, reads, layoffs are part of a bigger revamp at Sony PlayStation unit, which has become kind of the crux of the argument here, which is who is responsible for this? Are we going to blame Bungie? Are we going to blame Sony for this? And it would seem as though we're going the direction, at least in regards to this Bloomberg article, towards Sony having a substantial part in the reason why there have been so many mass layoffs. The article from Bloomberg reads, Bungie's decision to cut an estimated 100 jobs from its staff of about 1,200 followed dire management warnings earlier this month of a sharp drop in the popularity of its flagship video game, Destiny 2, which those words, as someone that enjoys playing Destiny 2, definitely hurt. A sharp drop in the popularity. Those words sting, but it definitely rings true for at least my personal experience in playing this game over the last 10 years. Lightfall was a big letdown. Let me know if you agree or disagree down in the comments. Now on to the next part. Just 2 weeks ago, executives at the Sony-owned game developer told employees that revenue was running 45% below projections for the year, according to people who attended the meeting. Chief Executive Officer Pete Parsons pinned the big miss on weak player retention for Destiny 2, which has faced a poor reception since the release of its latest expansion, Lightfall. So poor player retention is the focal point for Bungie here on this issue. There are obviously a lot of different reasons why Lightfall was unsuccessful. I think that the narrative was extremely weak, subpar player population, and player retention. Not to mention that the competition for keeping gamers' interest is at an all-time high. We have more live service games now than ever. We have just a lot of really good games to play in 2023. So Destiny doesn't quite shine as bright as some of these other games, and I think they're definitely pulling from the player base. Does anyone remember for a period of time there, it seemed like everyone was just going to jump over to Diablo 4? And that trend has been continuing. Now let's go on to the next part. The next expansion, The Final Shape, was getting good, not great feedback, and management told those present that they plan to push back the release to June 2024 from February. According to the people who asked not to be identified because they weren't authorized to speak publicly, the additional time would give developers a chance to improve the product. So we're getting this information because Bungie employees that were laid off are deciding to speak now, even though technically that does break their NDA, but they are choosing to remain anonymous, and in doing so they can effectively spill the beans to these journalists and these news sites. So now they're giving us information both on Destiny 2 Lightfall and The Final Shape. The next part reads, in the meantime, Parsons told staff Bungie would be cutting costs such as for travel, as well as implementing salary and hiring freezes, the people said. Everyone would have to work together to weather the storm, he said, leaving employees feeling determined to do whatever we needed to get revenue back up. So obviously when you miss the mark by so much, you're going to have your CEO, for this example, Pete Parsons, saying, hey, we're going to cut costs as much as possible, try and make up for the difference in the loss of revenue. However, a 45% decrease is a massive one, and I don't think that just cutting costs of travel will suffice, or clearly it didn't, so they had to lay off about roughly 8% of their employees, which is about 100 employees from Bungie in total. The next part reads, but on Monday morning, the news got worse. Dozens of staffers woke up to mysterious 15-minute meetings that had been placed on their calendars, which they soon learned were part of a mass layoff. Bungie laid off around 8% of its employees, according to documentation reviewed by Bloomberg. Bungie didn't respond to requests for comment. Employees who were let go will receive at least 3 months of severance and 3 months of Bungie paid Cobra health insurance, although other benefits such as expense reimbursements ended Monday, sending some staff racing to submit their receipts. Now that's actually really good to get 3 months of severance and health insurance, of course, so that way in the meantime when you're looking for more work, you're still covered. This does go contrary to our previous source, which we had Paul Tassi saying that employees were given a month or less. So these conflicting sources are definitely confusing, to say the least. Someone's either lying or misconstruing the fact. The next part reads, laid off staffers will also receive prorated bonuses, although those who were on a vesting schedule following Sony's Group Corp's acquisition of Bungie in January 2022 will lose any shares that were vested as of next month. That actually really hurts, especially for those that are affected by that. That sucks. The next part reads, the layoffs are part of a larger money-saving initiative at Sony's PlayStation unit, which has also cut employees at studios such as Naughty Dog, Media Molecule, and its San Mateo office. And it's not just affecting Sony within the gaming industry right now. We've seen Epic lay off around 900 employees at this point in time, so it's definitely affecting all of gaming. The next part reads TD Cohen. Analyst Doug Kreutz wrote in a report Monday that events over the last few days lead us to believe that PlayStation is undergoing a restructuring, which some have speculated perhaps PlayStation is trying to take some developers from other studios and place them into Bungie, basically restructuring the company to some degree. This is merely speculation though, but it would seem to make sense. PlayStation president Jim Ryan announced last month that he plans to resign. So we're definitely seeing some turmoil and some crazy things going on within PlayStation. The last part reads, many of the layoffs at Bungie affected the company's support departments such as community management and publishing. Remaining Bungie staff were informed that some of those areas will be outsourced moving forward. Wow, so there you have it. That is the big article. We now have the reason as to why. Let me know your thoughts about all of this down in the comments below. And of course, if you want to stay up to date on the news, make sure you subscribe to the channel with notifications on, smash the like button, and click on the screen here to watch another video from the channel. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Later.